Hello, my dear children. Welcome back once again to the English time. How are you? I think all of you are doing well, okay? Do you remember the things we did in the last class? What all things did we do? Do you remember? Just recall them. We started our class with a talk on tourist places. Am I right? And you identified a number of places inside Kerala and outside Kerala. Then what? I asked you, why do we visit such places? Didn't I? Then we came to know about some people who live in company with nature. Do you know the names of those people? Mr. Hari and Asha. Another is Mr. Mohan and his family. We noticed the specialities of their homes also. We saw their simple houses, the rich greenery around their houses, and the way they live a pollution-free life. From there, we familiarized another man, a forest god. What is his name? Yes, Sakuma. Where is he from? From Mizoram, right? What did we do then? Yes, we listened to a story about Sakuma. Don't you remember Sakuma's trip to the forest, the camera trap, the pictures of poachers? Do you remember all this? We understood how strongly Sakuma was attached to the forest, didn't we? He was really the son of the forest. That is how the story ended, right? What did we do then? Then I introduced a boy to you. Was the boy young or old? What kind of a boy was he? Yes, a young boy of 12 years. He wanted to go somewhere. Where did he wish to go? Exactly. The boy wished to go to the river. Was the river nearby? No, it is not nearby. It is far away. We saw something hit the river. What was that? Yes, a big mountain. Did I tell you the whole story? No, I didn't. I told you to read the story. Did you read it? Okay, good. Do you know the author? The person who wrote the story? This story is written by Ruskin Bond. Have you heard of Ruskin Bond? Here is a short profile of Ruskin Bond. Watch the video.
Ruskin Bond was born on 19th May 1934 in Kasauli, Himachal Pradesh. He was the son of Anglo-Indian parents Aubrey Alexander Bond and Edith Clark. He completed his schooling in Shimla. After schooling, he went to England. He wrote his first novel, The Room on the Roof, when he was 17. After that, he returned to India and settled in Dehradun. He worked for a long time as an editor in magazines and publishing houses. Meanwhile, he wrote a lot of stories, essays, and poems which were published in leading magazines in India. Since 1963, Bond has been living in Mussoorie, a small town at the foothills of the Himalayas in Uttarakhand state. Bond was much influenced by the living in the hill station in the company of nature. He was born and brought up there. Even after youth, the pull of nature was so strong in him. So he came back to India. Most of his works were influenced by the hill stations at the foothills of Himalayas, where he spent his childhood. His novel, Flight of the Pigeons, has been adapted into the film Junoon. He has also published 2 volumes of autobiography, Scenes from a Writer's Life, and The Lamp is Lit. In 1992, Ruskin Bond was awarded Sahitya Academy Award for his English novel Our Trees Still Grow in Dehra. In 1999, he received Padma Shri Award. In 2014, he was awarded the Padma Bhushan Award.
Have you got a general idea about Ruskin Bond? Ruskin Bond has written a lot of stories about nature. He himself was a true lover of nature. I hope all of you read the story. Am I right? All of you read the whole story? Okay, good. Then let me ask a question. What are the major events of the story? Can you write them in your notebook? I shall give you 1 minute. Write them in your notebook. Okay, have you written the events? Right. What is the first event? Is this the first event? Yes, it's about a boy, isn't it? The boy wanted to see the river, so he started to the river. Right? And now the second event. He saw someone on the way. Who did he see? Yeah, a woodcutter. The boy saw a woodcutter on the way. And then, did he see anybody else? Who did he see? Yeah, he saw a girl. And he asked the girl about the way to the river. Then he saw somebody else. Who did he see? Yes, he saw a village boy. So, This is the fourth event. Now tell me, which is the last event? Yes, he reached the river. Good. So, these are the main events of the story. Well, did you understand the story? Do you have any doubts? Some of you may have doubts, haven't you? Don't worry. I'll tell you all the details regarding the story. All right, let's take the story part by part. Now, let's discuss the first part of the story. Okay? Here is the story. Shall I read it? What will you do? You may look at the screen and read along with me, right? How far is the river? Between the boy and the river stood a mountain. The boy was young and the river was small, but the mountain was big. The thickly forested mountain hid the river, but the boy knew it was there. He had never seen the river with his own eyes, but from the villagers he had heard of it, of the fish in its waters and of its rocks. He wished to touch the water and know it personally. He stood in front of his house on the hill opposite the mountain and gazed across the valley, dreaming of the river. He was about 12 years old, a sturdy boy with untidy black hair and shining black eyes. He had fine features and a clear brown skin, but his hands and feet were rough and scratched. He was barefooted, not because he could not afford shoes, but because he liked the feel of warm stones and cool grass. It was 11 o'clock and he knew his parents wouldn't return home till evening. There was a loaf of bread he could take with him, and on the way he might find some fruits. Here was the opportunity he had waited for. His mother and father had gone to visit relatives for the entire day and had left him on his own. If he came home before dark, before they returned, they wouldn't know where he had been. He went into the house and wrapped the loaf in a newspaper. Then he closed all the doors and windows. The path to the river dropped steeply into the valley, then rose and went round the big mountain. It was frequently used by the villagers, the woodcutters, milkmen, and mule drivers. But there were no villages beyond the mountain or near the river. I hope all of you read along with me. Now, may I ask you some questions? Have you got any idea about the place where the boy lives? What idea have you got? Yes, it is a hilly area. Some of you may say it is a village. Okay, that also is correct. What idea have you got about the boy? About his physical features? His appearance? It's in your textbook. Mark them. What about his age? Yes, he is 12 years. And about his appearance? Yes, a sturdy boy, a strongly built boy. Then, about his hair, yes, untidy black hair. Yes, his hair is untidy, not combed, disheveled. Then, what about his eyes? You are right. Shining black eyes. And his skin? Yes, brown skin. What about his hands and feet? Hands and feet were rough and scratched. Another speciality of the boy is also mentioned here. What is that? Yes, he is barefooted. He didn't wear any chappals or shoes. The reason is also there. What is that? Yes, you are right. He wanted to feel the warmth of the stones and the coolness of the grass. Let me ask another question. The boy had a good plan for his journey to the river. How do you know that? There are some clues for that in the text. Can you identify them? Number 1, the boy waited for a chance for his journey to the river. And he went out when his parents were away. What is the second point? Yes, the boy knew that it is a long journey and he took a loaf of bread with him. Now the last one. He closed all the doors and windows of the house. Very good. What information do you get about the path to the river? Identify the features. It goes steep to the valley. Right? What's a valley? Look at the picture. This is a valley. Clear now? What is the next idea you got about the path? Then it rose and it went round the mountain like the one you see in the picture. Now, the next question. Who usually use this path? The villagers. Then, the woodcutters. Okay? The milkmen. Right? Then, the mule drivers. Well, who is a mule driver? The one who drives a mule. What's a mule? Look at the picture. This is a mule. Is this a donkey? Not exactly. Then, is this a horse? No. Its face is almost like a horse. This is not a donkey, not a horse, but a mixture of both donkey and a horse. It is called a mule. It is used to ride on in hilly areas. They are used to carry loads too. You can see that in this picture. Where do these animals used to carry loads? In mountainous areas, there are no good roads in such places, right? Have you got an idea about mule drivers now? Good. Shall we read the text again? Okay, read along with me. How far is the river? Between the boy and the river stood a mountain. The boy was young and the river was small, but the mountain was big. The thickly forested mountain hid the river, but the boy knew it was there. He had never seen the river with his own eyes, but from the villagers he had heard of it, of the fish in its waters and of its rocks. He wished to touch the water and know it personally. He stood in front of his house on the hill opposite the mountain and gazed across the valley, dreaming of the river. He was about 12 years old, a sturdy boy with untidy black hair and shining black eyes. He had fine features and a clear brown skin, but his hands and feet were rough and scratched. He was barefooted, not because he could not afford shoes, but because he liked the feel of warm stones and cool grass. It was 11 o'clock and he knew his parents wouldn't return home till evening. There was a loaf of bread he could take with him, and on the way he might find some fruits. Here was the opportunity he had waited for. His mother and father had gone to visit relatives for the entire day and had left him on his own. If he came home before dark, before they returned, they wouldn't know where he had been. He went into the house and wrapped the loaf in a newspaper. Then he closed all the doors and windows. The path to the river dropped steeply into the valley, then rose and went round the big mountain. It was frequently used by the villagers, the woodcutters, milkmen, and mule drivers. But there were no villages beyond the mountain or near the river. Now, shall I ask you some questions? Okay. Why does the boy go to the river? He likes the river. He wishes to touch the water. Yes, he likes the river. Only the river? No. He likes the grass and stones also. How do you know that? Yes, it is there in the story. He likes the warmth of the stones and the coolness of the grass. Don't you remember that? That's why he is barefooted. We have seen some such people in the last class. Don't you remember? Mr. Hari and Miss Asha and Mr. Mohan and his family. They all like plants, birds, trees, etc. Today, I shall introduce another person like that. The story of that person is given in your textbook. It's a woman, a true daughter of nature. Do you know her name? Yes, she is Suryamani. Can you read this newspaper clipping given in your textbook? Nature's daughter. Jharkhand. Living close to nature is living life in full. Suryamani's story will definitely be an eye opener to those who deliberately walk away from nature. Suryamani is a tribal nature activist who loves the forest and considers it as her own. She loved the forest and knew that she could do something to save it. In college, she became a part of Save the Forest movement. She went on nature walks with children on weekends, explaining that our survival is linked with the survival of the forest. Did you watch the video? Do you know any person like her? Have you read about any person who lives in company with nature? Or a person who works to protect nature? Collect more ideas about that person. Okay? Then write a paragraph about that person and share it in your class WhatsApp group. Okay? This is all for today. Don't forget to read the whole story once again. Meet you in the next class. Okay?